What's up with it, Raider Nation? It's your boy, RaiderHoncho, and I'm back with a brand new video for you. If you're a fan of the Las Vegas Raiders and want to support this channel, please subscribe. Now, today is a very special day for me because it is my birthday. Yes, the boy RaiderHoncho turns another year older. Now, what you could do for me, if you feel a little generous on the boy's B-Day, want to drop a little birthday bread, I am going to put my Cash App and my Venmo links in the description. Anything counts. Anything helps. I greatly appreciate it. Also, follow my brand new Instagram page at RaiderHoncho. I would also put that in the description. Okay, let's get right into the video. Today, we are doing a year 2 player evaluation, Johnathan Abram. Now, everybody's been asking me about Johnathan Abram. I should do a trust or bust, but trust or bust is usually for first-year players, and even though Johnathan Abram did miss his first year, he's still a second-year player, so he falls into the category of our year 2 player evaluations. Let's get right into it. Johnathan Abram, round 1, pick number 27, and to be completely honest with you, I was not a fan of the pick. Not that I disliked him, I just thought that in the first round we went after a safety who I thought really didn't do well in coverage, okay? And when you look at his tape, I don't think the tape lies. I don't think I was wrong in my opinion or my assessment of him. I just didn't have a high grade on him as a player in coverage. So, he missed 2019 because of shoulder injury, pretty much out the whole year, but the boy did look pretty phenomenal in his first and only game against the Denver Broncos. I hate the Denver Broncos, and I love the fact that he played like he hated the Denver Broncos. I mean, he was hitting everybody out there. In fact, I think he hurt one of our own players, but that's what happens. That seems to be a trend for Johnathan Abram because I'm pretty sure through 2020 season, he put a couple of our players out the game for a couple plays. But I think he also had an impact on some of the other teams' players as well. So you always got to take the good with the bad, right? Now, I'm going to get into some of his stats. I'm going to show you where he ranks. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you my final grade. So make sure you stay tuned, all right? And if you feel like you're getting good information in this video, please subscribe. All right, now. He had 83 total tackles, 63 solo tackles, which ranked him 34th amongst starting safeties in the NFL. He also had 2 interceptions, which placed him 15th in the NFL, which it must have been a down year because 2 interceptions to me is not that much to be in the top 15. He was targeted 31 times and gave up 21 completions. That's 86%. And to me, that's way too high, okay? Like, 86% is like, man, almost every time they throwing the ball your way, it's a completion. And I just think that that's way too much for me. He actually ranked 47th in targets and 44 in receptions given up. He had 3 tackles for a loss, 4 quarterback hits, but he also had 13 missed tackles. Now, we can attribute a lot of his missed tackles to the fact that he just plays so fast at a high speed, full throttle all the time. And like coaches say, if you're going to make a mistake, make it at 100%. Well, guess what? This boy makes 100% of his mistakes at 100% in full speed. So you kind of got to give him credit there, right? He does what the coaches always tell you to do. He was graded 35.9 by PFF, which was actually the lowest grade of any starting safety in the NFL. And as Charles Barkley would say, that's terrible. Okay, we just can't have that. You can't draft a guy in the first round and have him giving you production as the worst safety in the league or at the worst player at that position in the league. When you draft a guy that high, the top 30 players in the NFL draft, and he's giving you production of a bottom player at that position, it's either a bust or something's not going right. And I don't want to consider him a bust because he has shown some potential. And I will like to lean on the fact that it was the scheme and the coaching staff. I will put a lot of blame on that. And I put a lot of blame on the coaching staff because, to me, Johnathan Abram's biggest issue is his discipline. You see him flying around the field all the time. He has no discipline whatsoever. And it's no disrespect to him because I like him as a person. I like him as a potential star for us. But right now, he needs to work on discipline. And that points towards the coaches as well, okay? Now, to have some validity to that point or give you some context to that, he actually led the NFL safeties in penalties, okay? So we take all the safeties in the NFL and see how many penalties they got. Individually, he led them all. He led all the guys in penalties for safeties, and that is because of his discipline. He has to work on his patience within his responsibilities, okay? Now, in every position in football, you have certain responsibilities, okay? We all know that. There's like a pecking order of responsibilities, priorities. You got to prioritize your responsibilities, okay? Like, even though he is responsible for running in the alleys and having run support, run fits in the run game. He is an NFL safety, which means his number one responsibility is to stop the pass, okay? He has to understand that. Stopping the run is only secondary once you know that there's no pass involved, okay? Everybody has responsibilities in every facet of life, every profession. If you're a professional bus driver and you pick up 18 people on your bus route, it is your responsibility to get those people to where they're going. Yes, but your number one responsibility is to get those people there safely. It's not going to matter if you get the 18 people there to their destination and they all got concussions or a broken arm or they need stitches. You're not that good at your job, okay? So he has to understand that the pecking order for his responsibilities has to be pass first, okay? When you think about the Kansas City game where we're in deep thirds, okay? What that means is that a corner, you split the field into thirds. One corner has his deep third, the middle third is the safety, the other third is the other corners, which means you're the deepest guy in your third. It doesn't matter if there's 5 guys in your third or your zone, you're going to be as deep as the deepest guy. And if you watch that game against Kansas City, he has no patience and no discipline to know that even though Patrick Mahomes is breaking he's breaking containment and breaking the pocket, you don't need to fly up there and make that tackle. You have to have awareness and discipline to know down and distance. You have to know game time situation, situational football. The Kansas City Chiefs needed more than a field goal. So even if you allow Patrick Mahomes to scramble and get yards and they're in field goal range, it doesn't matter because they needed a touchdown to win. Instead, he left his assignment. He left his responsibility. He didn't have the patience or trust of his other teammates that they would make the play, and he flew up, and we got beat. Game over, okay? Now, just like I pointed out that he flew up because he didn't have trust in his teammates to make the play, I give him a little bit of a pass and the way he flies up, because when you really think about it, right, the NFL, well, the Raiders led the NFL in missed tackles, right? And when you play safety, speaking from experience, I played safety, I coach DBs. When your defensive linemen and your middle linebackers or any linebackers are missing tackles, you tend to fly up more because you don't trust that they're going to make the tackles. And if you're at safety, you're playing 15, 20 yards off the ball, you might feel like if they miss this tackle, it's just going to be me in the end zone with all this field trying to make this play. So you tend to fly up and try to finish tackles, assist on tackles, and you try to get people who have partial tackles, you try to finish the job, right? You try to clean it up. And I think that's one of his problems, is that the people in front of him weren't doing their job, so he's trying to make up for that. He's trying to overcompensate for the lack of tackling in front of him by making all the plays. He thought he had to do way too much, and that's why he was bad and exposed in some of his coverages, because he was trying to do too much in the run game. And when you think about the Raiders missing most of the tackles in the NFL and how much we couldn't stop the run, you can't really blame a guy because he was trying to make the plays, okay? I think that his exposure in the pass game was due to a lack of pressure from the defensive line. We weren't getting no pressure on the quarterbacks. We're not getting any sacks. We're not getting jams on our number 3 and 4 receivers when they're in the spread. And it just makes life really hard for a defensive back when those things are happening or not happening, right? If you're in a 4 wide receiver set and I'm playing deep third as a safety, I'm expecting you to get jams on those number 2 and 3 receivers, right? If you got receivers getting free releases off the line, it doesn't give your safety enough time to identify the play, go through his progressions, and be able to help in coverage or help in the run game. He's going to have to make an instinct play, and most times it might be wrong, right? Most times, more than not, it could be wrong, okay? And you got to attribute that to the people in front of them not doing their job. So even though on TV, it looks like, damn, Abram sucks in coverage. Well, Abram sucks in coverage because he's trying to do too much. He's trying to cover his end of the field as well as the people in front of him. You can't have him do that. I think that Gus Bradley is going to come in and actually help Johnathan Abram play to his strength, which is he's running a 4-3 scheme, right? But he likes to run a 4-3 single high safety scheme. When you run a 4-3, usually you have a strong safety and free safety. In a perfect world, Johnathan Abram is our strong safety, which means we're going to roll him usually to the strong side of the field or the strong side of the formation, which is usually tight end side or more receiver side. So he's not going to have the responsibility of single high safety anymore and have the responsibility of guessing, do I cover deep or do I make this tackle? We're going to allow him to play at his comfort level, in his comfort zone, which is speed, aggression, and power. Don't try to put him in a box and make him play your way of football. No, let him play his style of football and you build around it. If this was a 4-4 defense, Johnathan Abram will be an outside linebacker. So therefore, in a 4-3, we allow him to play as an outside linebacker by rolling him up into the box and playing to his strength. He has no problem covering running backs out of the backfield with a blitz peel, which means even when he's blitzing, he can turn around and guard the running back out of the backfield, or he can man up on the tight end. I think those are suitable positions for him, right? All he needs to really work on is that discipline. Because if you really think about it, right, the discipline is he blitzed 47 times, but he only got 9 pressures. So to me, that points out that he needs to slow down. He needs to throttle down. He needs to play under control, right? It's controlled aggression. It's almost like controlled chaos, right? And some of y'all are rap fans, you know, DMX was out of control, but he always let you hear his words, right? Even when he was rapping and he's going crazy, you can hear the words because it's controlled chaos. It's not to the point where you don't understand what's going on. And I think Johnathan Abram kind of falls into that same category. He has to be able to control the chaos, okay? Throttle down and square up and make tackles, okay? Now, with all that being said, as knocks on him, the things I really like about Johnathan Abram is his leadership and his physicality that he brings to our roster and our locker room. Like, he's a guy that you want on the field, and you feel much better when you have him on the field than when you don't. Even though all the flaws and all the mistakes he makes, you still feel a lot better with him than you do without him. You can't really put a price on that or quantify that. I don't really know what I'm trying to say with that word, but you can't really put like, what you get from that is hard to put into words. It's a feeling you get. His aura, his persona. There's certain guys that even when they're not at practice feels dead and beat and flat. And I think Johnathan Abram is one of those guys. I think that he's a guy that when you know he's going to be on the field, you just feel better. You feel safe. You feel like, all right, I got my big bro with me. I got my heavy hitters with me. And you need that as a football player. You have to have extreme confidence in the guys you're going to war with. And I think he's one of the guys that facilitates and puts confidence through all of our players on defense. So I really like that. I think his biggest issue is probably the fact that he fell into the hype of not being a first-round pick or a starter. I think he fell into the hype of being like that old-school safety, that hard-hitting Jack Tatum, that Steve Atwater, that John Lynch, who I got to lay the boom every single time. And he forgot that you still have to play within the context of the game and your responsibilities. It's okay to come off and knock somebody's block off as long as you've already identified it's a run play, not a play action and you're getting beat or a quarterback's coming up. You don't need to do everybody else's job. You have to have the confidence in your other players. So I think when the other players step up, I think he'll be able to play more comfortable and he'll be able to step up. One thing I really do like about him is he does hit everything moving. As a DB and as a DB coach, I tell my guys, I tell them, hit everything moving. Sometimes it might be your own teammates. Sometimes I tell them if the refs get in the way, you hit them too. Because anything in between those white lines is justifiable punishment. And you will be punished if you come on this side, okay? Every time, I used to tell my players all the time that crossing a line of scrimmage is like a toll booth, right? And you got to pay your toll if you want to come on this side. And my toll is me lighting your ass up, okay? So anytime you want to cross that line, you got to pay a toll, okay? And I like that Johnathan Abram is taxing those boys when they come across the line and pay their tolls. So that's it, right? Now, the moment of truth, the moment y'all all been waiting for is to see what final grade I'm going to give Johnathan Abram, okay? Now, I'm one of those professors that, like, if you missed the whole review or the lead up to your exam and you're on the borderline of getting a passing grade or a failing grade, I'm going to pass you because you weren't here for the lead up of the exam. And I feel like Johnathan Abram being injured his first year, this is really like his rookie year, right? So where I would normally give a D plus because you think about where he's graded, you think about the mishaps, you think about the discipline, the penalties, it would be a D plus caliber type of player. But in my rubric, a D is for somebody who probably deserves to be a second player off the bench and not somebody who's a starter. I don't believe that that's Johnathan Abram. I think Johnathan Abram is a starter. I think he does have the potential to be a star player in the NFL once we put him in the right area to make the plays, all right? Because if he's not at the right place at the right time, he's not going to make the right plays. And I think the coaching staff has to facilitate that, right? So I'm going to give Johnathan Abram a C minus, okay? That's my final grade, a C minus. If you agree or disagree, put it down in the comments. I'm giving him a C minus because a C minus means he has the potential to be a star player, but just hasn't delivered on it yet or just hasn't put it all together yet. I do think Johnathan Abram is going to be a great player for us, and he deserves to be a Raider. He fits the Raider mold, the mystique, the aura, the persona, all that stuff. So that's my grade. Johnathan Abram, C-. If you got other players you would like me to do evaluations on, leave it down in the comments, okay? If you like this video, like the video. If you like the content on this page and love the Las Vegas Raiders, or you just like the rhetoric that I come on here with, subscribe to the channel. And don't forget, it is your boy's birthday. The Honcho's another year older. Get down in the description if you want to donate 50 cents, 25 cents, anything. I'm just trying to get a bottle of Henny. It's much appreciated, all right? And until the next time, RaiderHoncho out.